The American dream is an idea that through dedication and determination, a fulfilling life can be achieved, one that includes aspects such as a car, a house, a job, and an income that provides for a family. Today, that dream is jeopardized by one critical issue: affordable housing. Through a local and state lens, we have directly explored the detrimental effects of the crisis and collected further research at a more national level. Time and time again, the lack of affordable housing has closed the door of opportunity.
Since 1963, the cost of a home has increased by 251%, while the average salary has stayed relatively stagnant in comparison. The shift in housing prices has affected the lives of every American looking to buy a home, making it so much harder to obtain. For as long as this country has been around, the ability to be able to own your own land is part of what makes the United States special. Fast forward to now, we see more and more Americans renting homes instead of buying them, with rental growth increasing steadily since 2009, while we see a decrease in ownership. If this trend continues, it makes it increasingly harder for our generation or the generation after us to own our own property. Every American has felt the effects of inflation. Inflation all over the country has raised prices in every facet of society. The housing market has gone up at an unsustainable rate because of this. In the case of the housing market, rent is through the roof. No one can afford to build houses, and whoever can afford it can charge whatever they may please. The average American salary is $61,000, while the average cost of a house is around $500,000, meaning that to buy a house in cash, the average American would have to save every penny of their salary for 8.3 years, which just isn't realistic.
To learn more about the affordable housing crisis, we went to the capital of Kentucky, Frankfort, to interview Governor Andy Beshear, as the affordability of housing is high on his list of priorities, reflected by his landmark investments into these residences.
So I gave my State of the Commonwealth on the American Dream, and the fact that it starts with a job, but it lives in a home. Across the United States, the new average age for home ownership is 40.
The statistic was alarming. In 1980, the median age of first-time home buyers in the United States was 29 years old. This marked an 11-year increase in age, showing that the American dream could be slipping out of reach.
People are concerned that the American dream is slipping away because home ownership is seen as a big part of that, yet it's gotten harder and harder and harder. But the loss of the American dream would be a huge blow to this country. I think it's one of the things that's driven American exceptionalism, that we strive and we push. We come up with new ideas, we invent and we innovate. Why? Because we believe in this country that we can leave a better life to our kids. That's gotten harder and harder. I think this is one of the two biggest threats that face our country.
What Beshear said was true. The loss of the American dream would be a true tragedy. America would lose one of its greatest ideals, the belief that opportunity, hard work, and hope can shape a better future for every generation.
Large corporations are buying plots and charging inflated prices to further fill their pockets. But there are some companies doing the opposite. This has, in some cases, trapped first-time renters from ever buying a home, and in doing so has created a problem that could take years to escape from. We met with Chris Dissinger, President and CEO of LDG, an affordable housing company dedicated to building affordable apartment complexes all over the country, from Florida to Texas, to ask him about the issue at hand.
Well, basically I founded LDG, but we started out buying and renovating single-family homes. That was our original deal, and really it was a couple of guys just trying to invest in real estate and make a buck. And sort of by accident, most of our residents would fit what you would call affordable housing profile. And over the years, we kind of got to know the residents and see the things they struggled with. And that's what really kind of led us into, full-time, committed affordable housing.
What, in your mind, do you think sets LDG apart from are you guys doing anything differently?
We have more of a bent to taking care of our residents. So we do things like after school programs and food pantries.
These programs, which set LDG apart, are very important. Not only do they help to ease the economic burden that the majority of people who live in affordable housing are saddled with, they also allow for these people to build a foundation for a better life in the future. in which homeownership, and therefore the American dream, could be a viable reality.
Miss Blair is a resident at LDG's senior care facilities.
We met with her to learn more about the effect that proper affordable housing has had on her life.
Before I lived here, I did have a home. I had a 3-bedroom home. But it got to be too much for me on my own. So then I ended up being homeless because I couldn't find anything that I could afford just on my disability until Riverport Landings. So, especially when you get my age and you're on a fixed income, my income is disability. It's hard to find affordable housing that's decent.
Miss Blair and many others have been pushed even to the point of homelessness by the scarcity of housing. There are tangible consequences if we don't fix this issue by building new housing, easing regulations, etc.
If you believe there's a housing crisis, and there is, you want to build as fast as possible so that you don't lose 2 or 3 generations that stop believing in that American dream. We also need to make a big aspirational investment in housing on the state level and at the federal level. This is solvable, and it would put a ton of people to work in the meantime in construction. So I do think that we can address it. This is just an issue of will and political will.
Often, when we encounter problems as large as these, the government needs to step in for any meaningful change to happen. In this case, according to Governor Beshear, progress is possible. As we speak, there is an effort being made at the federal level to stop large investors from buying single-family homes. The Senate just passed a housing bill with bipartisan support, which loosens up on building regulations and targets large investors, keeping them from eating up the market by stopping them from buying single-family homes.
Talking about these companies that are coming in and buying up the houses, I'm concerned about it. I believe that we need to make sure that homes are owned by families, by individuals. That's such a big part of how you build wealth, right? Over time, if you're able to pay off your home can be the collateral for a loan to send your kids to college, or to better your life in an important way. And so I think it's really important that we look at the rules and make sure that these big companies aren't pushing even more people out when we're already facing such a big problem.
In recent years, the problem has been exacerbated by these large investors. So this bill at the federal level is the first step of many to addressing the housing crisis and easing the viability of the American dream on the average person.
As citizens and youth of the United States, we play a vital role in protecting the future of the American dream, not only for ourselves, but for future generations to come.
Like I said earlier, this is an issue of political will. And that means what you all are doing is really important. People need to raise their voices. You all have, probably 10 years until you consider buying a home. You should demand from your state and your federal officials that they do the things so there's one there and so that it's possible. Y'all deserve the same American dream that my dad, first generation college, chased, and that I was able to as well. Housing's a big part of that.
As Americans built on the pillars of pride, opportunity, and upward mobility, our fate lies in taking action before the viability of the American dream disappears. With housing prices rising and affordable homes becoming harder to find, more families are being pushed away from access to even basic housing. If we stay silent, the American dream will continue to fade for future generations. Now is the time to speak up and raise awareness about the devastating issue, because without change, our children and future American families will face an uphill battle that may seem impossible to overcome.
Much for help.
They should get an A.
Yes.